What makes Lothlorien so special? Sure, it's beautiful and magical, but there's definitely something deeper happening there. Let's take a closer look. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we dive into the worlds of fantasy, legends, and the stories that shaped them. Today we're exploring the mysterious realm of Lothlorien from The Lord of the Rings, a place that feels more like a dream than reality. When the Fellowship finally reaches Lothlorien, it feels like stepping into a world untouched by darkness. After the chaos of Moria and the danger of the orcs, this land feels like an oasis. Peaceful, glowing, and alive. As night falls, the hills shine like they're sprinkled with stars. The company crosses a white bridge toward tall silver gates glowing with hanging lamps. The air is filled with the faint sound of singing, soft and distant like gentle rain falling through leaves. They climb paths and stairways until they reach a shimmering fountain surrounded by silver lights and massive trees that tower like living pillars of silk and light. It sounds heavenly. And Tolkien, who had a deep love for trees and nature, painted it in the most enchanting way possible. The elves here seem wiser, calmer, and more at peace than almost any others we meet in Middle-earth, far removed from the proud Noldor or the restless wood elves of Mirkwood. But what makes this place truly magical? What power protects it? Lothlorien wasn't always like this. Long before the War of the Ring, it was home to a group of elves called the Nandor, travelers who once started the journey west but stopped before crossing the Misty Mountains. They settled among the forests east of the mountains, related to the elves of Greenwood the Great, later known as Mirkwood. Over time, they became known as the Sylvan Elves, or the Galadriel, the Tree People. They weren't master craftsmen like the Noldor or cave dwellers like Thranduil's folk. They lived in harmony with the forest itself. Their homes were in the trees, their roofs were the canopy of leaves above them, and their lives moved in rhythm with nature. History gets a bit blurry after that. The leadership of Lothlorien passed through several hands, first to a Sindarin elf named Amdir, who sadly lost his life in the Great Last Alliance, and later to his son, Amroth. But Amroth too disappeared from history, and that's when Galadriel and Celeborn were invited to rule, not as king and queen, but as Lady and Lord Galadriel had long been connected to this land. She had visited often, bringing with her great wisdom and a touch of the light of Valinor. Under her guidance, Lothlorien blossomed into something extraordinary. The land even gained its new name then, Lothlorien, meaning dream flower or blossoming Lorien. Galadriel brought with her the seeds of the Malern trees, enormous silver and gold trees found nowhere else in Middle-earth. Their tall trunks and glowing leaves gave the whole forest its otherworldly radiance. These were the same trees from which the elves built their homes, strong enough to hold entire platforms high among the branches. The Malern trees came from the west. They wouldn't grow anywhere else, not even in Lindon, until Galadriel planted them here. In the end, she gifted one last Malern seed to Samwise Gamgee, the gardener of the Shire, who later planted it where the old party tree once stood. But Lothlorien wasn't just a paradise. It was a fortress too. The city of Caras Galadon stood protected by moats and walls, and the homes were built high above the ground, so invaders could be watched, or fought, from above by the skilled Sylvan archers. And it worked. During the War of the Ring, Lothlorien was attacked 3 times by forces from Dol Guldur, and every time the elves drove them back. Tolkien wrote that only Sauron himself could have broken through. So how did they manage that? Of course, part of it was the elves' skill and the dense forest that made the land nearly impossible for enemies to navigate. But there was something more, something spiritual. Many fans believe Lothlorien was surrounded by an invisible magical shield, similar to the Girdle of Melian from the First Age, a spell that kept evil out of Doriath. And it makes sense. Galadriel once lived with Melian and learned from her, so it's likely she used a similar enchantment to protect her own realm, shielding it from corruption and decay. But beyond that, there was another, even greater power at work, Nenya, the Ring of Water, one of the 3 rings of power made by the elves. Galadriel herself tells Frodo that Lothlorien isn't protected merely by song or arrows. Her power and the power of her ring are what keep it alive and unspoiled. Nenya enhanced her natural strength, allowing her to preserve beauty and resist the decay of time. the mirror of Galadriel and the glowing fountain in her garden, all of that is tied to Nenya. The light of Arundel's star that shines in her file came from that same water, capturing starlight in its depths. The mirror could show visions of the past, the present, or what might yet come. A gift and a burden, but Galadriel always knew this couldn't last forever. She told Frodo that if the One Ring were destroyed, the power of her ring would fade too, and with it the beauty and timelessness of Lothlorien, and that's exactly what happened. After Sauron's fall, the magic slowly ebbed away. Within a century, the land had gone quiet. The elves departed over the sea and the forest returned to the wild. Lothlorien had been more than a place. It was the elves' last glimpse of paradise in Middle-earth, a shelter from time itself. When Nenya's power ended, the timeless dream ended with it. But a small piece of that magic lived on, in the Shire, where Sam planted the last Malern tree, and for a time, that golden light shone again. If you enjoyed this journey into Middle-earth, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos on the wonders and mysteries of Tolkien's world. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.